morning, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, we're gonna be going over the back extension. Yesterday, I covered the hip extension. This is gonna be a great strengthening exercise. So let's hop on and get started. Foot position is going to change slightly. So I moved back previously to starting the video. I moved back the foot pad. The reason I did that is as I get on the GHD, I wanna make sure that now my hip joint is covered or on top of the GHD. So now I cannot flex and extend my hip. So with the back extension, the back will be dynamic, the hip will be static. So points of performance here for the back extension, I'm still gonna have my feet between the foot pads. I'm going to flex my ankles, think of bringing my toes towards my shins. I'm up against that squishy pad on the mat, not worried about pushing against the metal. So flex, your heels may touch depending on the GHD that you have. From this position here, I'm gonna be in that Superman hold. I'm engaging my glutes, hamstrings, quads. I'm gonna focus on just moving my back and spine. So I'm gonna start with tucking my chin, rounding my upper back, one vertebrae at a time down to my mid back and then low back. Once I get to this end range of motion, my hip joint is blocked by this pad, so I cannot flex the hip. That's the intention of having the hip on top of the pad and is blocked. From here, I'm going to extend one vertebrae at a time, low back, mid back, upper back. So if you think of the functionality of this movement in real life, think about getting out of bed, right? If I'm laying down, I'm getting out of bed, I swing my arms most typically, and I'm going to round myself up. I'm never, very rarely am I going to try to sit up out of bed with a completely flat back. So think of the natural flexion and extension. So something I think about in my training was volleyball back in high school. You had a lot of extension and flexion when you were going to spike the ball across the net. So you don't have to play volleyball to understand this, but I want to just give an analogy so you guys understand that natural flexion and extension in what we have everyday life and how we can train it in the gym to help get stronger. So if you don't have a GHD, you don't have the ability to do that, that's okay. You can modify by coming up, standing nice and tall, and you can work that range of motion by tucking the chin, rounding the upper back, mid back, low back. But notice here that I'm not flexing at the hip. So I'm squeezing my butt cheeks and I'm only able to go to this bottom range of motion with my glutes engaged. So from here, you can kind of see, I'm squeezing my butt. I'm going to then extend one vertebrae at a time, coming all the way up. So if you don't have a GHD, this is something you can incorporate into your training, learning to have kinesthetic awareness, which is body awareness of your body in space. Tuck the chin, round the shoulders, upper back, mid back, low back, getting to the bottom range of motion, and then extending. I like to start by teaching the hip extension first because we have a lot of extension in flexion and hip extension in movements like I talked about the other day, squat, deadlift, sitting up out of the toilet, sitting up out of a chair. So the hip extension is great where we're learning to flex or close and open the hip with hip extension. Now we're learning to close and open the spine on the GHD. Again, you gotta make sure that the foot pad is adjusted back so that your hip joint is blocked by the pad. This is all static. My hip is static, right? Hip, legs, all static. My back, my torso, my spine is dynamic. One vertebrae at a time, going as low as I can, and then extending. If you have the GHD and you have access to this, or even if you don't have access to it and you're doing them on the side, start with about 5 to 8 reps. Learn the understanding of your body. Get your body to take yourself through that range of motion. Then from there, you can increase 8 to 10 reps, then eventually 10 to 15 reps, and eventually 20 reps. This is more of a slow, controlled movement. It's gonna help strengthen the backside, the spinal erectors, which are essentially muscles that surround the spine. Not only the spinal erectors, but also help with the glutes, hamstrings, and other muscles on that backside. Cores also, again, you're learning how to flex and then extend. If you guys found this beneficial, I'd love for you to share, comment, or like, or share with family and friends that you think would be finding beneficial. If you have any questions or comments, or looking to have other movements like this, feel free to let me know below, and I can do more content. Stay tuned. I have the third part, or the third series of this. We'll be combining the hip and back extension. That is the most advanced, most complex movement, but it's great to help you get stronger and also help you advance in the gym, which you can take that fitness to outside the gym. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and I will see you guys actually today is Friday, so you have to stay tuned till Monday to see the video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.